Hi, I'm Mark Postles, and I wanted to spend a few minutes with you today just looking at a simple system that will boost your practice's income, and it'll do it without effort. So if you'd like to hear more about that, then just hang on here. If you want the notes on this, then click below and grab a copy if you haven't got them already. There's a simple script to this system, and just put in boost practice, and that'll come through to you, and you'll then be able to follow this. So, what I want to look at here is some unuseful beliefs that we have as chiropractors. And when people approach us for help with their practices, there's usually two main things that they're talking about, and that is how to get more new people, how to get more new patients, as I usually say, and how do I create a higher retention? How do I get people to stay for longer? So the obvious thing that one would do is to do more of what you've been doing that's getting results. So you've been getting results with more advertising, and so you just do more of that. You've been getting results in the marketing area, so you do more of that, or in conversion, do more of that, or closing, or tighter contracts, or more retention activities, or more follow up with people, or more recalls, or more scripts, or putting more energy into it. And this involves more expensives and ultimately more frustration. And so, are there any other ways that one might look at this particular problem? I would suggest that all too often the chiropractor is coming from a place of need. Now, need is a low vibration. When we need something, we must have it. We've got to have it to survive. And it's people in poverty, for example, or people in desperation, or people who have a lack of hope are in need. Needs are a very self-centered structure. It's a self-centered behavior or emotion that doesn't allow for flow. It's very short term. It's not a joyful situation. If we could go through our practice starting with low need and continue as if we've been in practice for 20 years, and we've got everything we ever want, but we just love chiropractic and we're getting in there to do it. That would be a very, very useful stance. A position where we don't have need, therefore we can be ourselves and we can go in there and just and play. So that's where we want to get it to, because we see this with our associates, and they come in initially as a high need state, and as the years go by, then the need diminishes, and the effectiveness of that chiropractor increases, the benefits to the practice members increase, and when we switch the need, everything changes essentially. So this needy factor then is something that is the opposite to what we really want. It's about if we look at the opposite of needy, it's probably abundance, prosperity, maybe attractiveness. That could be seen as one of the high values in a state that's opposite to needy. So when you're an attractive, you have pulling power. People will want to be around attractive people. That is just the nature of people. They find them interesting and fascinating. Attractive characters have a resonance about them. They're magnetizing. They're irresistible. And I might add, they're go-givers. They're not go-getters. So in other words, they know that they can't outgive the universe. They're interested in other people. They ask great questions, and people want to reciprocate. They want to support them in their business. Now, we've seen this over the years. I've had over 50 associates in my practice over the years, and most came in with high needs to make money. And as I mentioned before, college loans and living expenses and so forth. And so, some were desperately needy, and but most were were in a state of need. So there are varying degrees of that. But most weren't market ready, and most were not attractive to our practice members. Practice members sniffed that out real quick. So some stayed in need, unfortunately, and didn't grow their practice. However, the majority made the shift. The majority were able to make the shift and their practice grew. So they were willing to dig in and look at the fine distinctions within them, not about more ads and more marketing and so forth. It was like, hey, what about me? What am I offering and for our people or the people I'm seeing that is attractive? So let's have a look at the mechanism for this happening. This is the model we call the innate model. It is a foundational model for our coaching and working with people. It's based on the brain. If you like, there's the right side of the brain, there's the left side of the brain, front of the brain, back of the brain. And we know neurologically we have certain functions within those areas of the brain that are very different to other areas. So we're going to unpack this a little bit and just have a look at this simple system that boosts your practice in income, and it's effortless, and it is by being attractive. So the right frontal, we look at this as an area of hope. Now the right frontal here is it's a really powerful tool for healing. It's essential for healing. And hope, has many benefits. Like, there's so much research and literature on the benefits of hope, and including everything from mental strength and happiness to reducing stress to improving overall health. So many different aspects that hope plays a part. So this is what we must function in if we are to influence people to trust themselves firstly, but also to have a picture going forward of how it is that they can be. So it's about us instilling hope in every single person with every activity and interaction that we have with them, because hope is a projection through into the future. And the future is something that we create, something that we move into. So we can allow people to have a picture painted in their mind of a better future, and they will be drawn into that. They'll be compelled into that, and they'll be motivated to work towards it. So, having this out in front causes people to be attracted to a compelling future, to be hopeful of upsides. And one of the worst things we could do as a professional is to take hope away from people. As Napoleon Bonaparte's quoted as saying, a leader is a dealer in hope. If a person has hope, this is the employing of the placebo effect. If you like, it tends to be rubbished at times, but it's so valid, it's so strong. So having people in a position where they start to have a hopeful regard for their bodies, a hopeful regard for their life, a hopeful regard for their future is critical. And people will stay with us as long as they have hope for their future. The second element is one of trust. So, people must have trust in themselves firstly, and then in you, and then in the process. So, if we're looking at anything around trust, it's firstly making sure that it fits with a person's past, and making sure that it fits their model of the world, because we all have this let's say bank account of trust, and if we have deposits and we have withdrawals, and the relationship with you, with a practitioner, is this bank account of trust. And it's about making sure that the deposits into there, we turn up on time, we have the agreements in place, and we fulfill on those agreements. We have outcomes that are being fulfilled. This starts to confirm hope. This starts to confirm what they've been hoping has happened is now being deposited into their bank account of trust. So when trust is broken, however, loyalty is lost, and the practice member disappears from the practice. So, there's and it takes a I would say a time for deposits to be made, and withdrawals can be made almost in an instant. One or two violations of trust, and that person's gone. Over time, if the deposits are increasing steadily, then the person is more tolerant of the violations, and the withdrawals won't be quite as profound. So making sure that you've got your trust account with your people really, really clear, that you're making deposits into that, they're making deposits into it, and that the withdrawals are managed, which might mean that you have to deal with some certain things that come up, that disappointments that they might have, and get them handled really quickly. So that will give them, actually, it can become a withdrawal can become a deposit because the way you dealt with it. So that's the elements of trust. It's a fragmented approach to practice strategy does not build trust. Lack of systems does not build trust. It's about making sure that predictability and certainty and nurture, as we call it here within Quest, is in place at all times. This is the element of trust. So the third point is that you've got to be able to deliver. This is about the skills. Now, we often find new graduates, particularly, spend a lot of their time, money, and energy on developing their skills, and that's fantastic. It's wonderful. It's really important to make sure we are very, very skillful as practitioners, because the necessary skills and techniques are just critical for chiropractic success. However, they're not the only thing. See, if a person doesn't have a future, if they just see that this is just an interaction for a short term, they come in, they have low hope, but they'll give it a go, and that the trust hasn't built up sufficiently, or is being withdrawn on a regular basis, then the skills, no matter how skillful you are not going to cut it. So skills by themselves are not necessarily important for a chiropractor to succeed. I've seen some of the most unskillful chiropractors have the most incredible practices with huge numbers of people and getting amazing results, and rave reviews. And it's like, oh my gosh, that's disgusting. They're pushing everything the wrong way, or they're doing things and they're just every technique guru would cringe at, and yet they're doing this, having this amazing practice. They're making heaps of money and all the rest of it. So it's like, what the heck? How is this happening? So generating the hope and trust then, along with the consistent results, then leads to exponential growth. So we've got to make sure that the skills are fulfilling on the hope, and they're fulfilling on the deposits into the trust account. So they will complement these things. They can't just stand alone. So the fourth area is, how do we expand? How do we scale? Well, every profession has its philosophy, whether it's been defined or not. It has a philosophy. It has a science. So if we like, the philosophies up here, and hope. That's a philosophical construct. It's a love of ideas of the future. And then it's trust. We build up a bank account of trust, as we've spoken about, and then we have a series of actions that we take place. And so the trust is the science, because it's accumulation of things from the past. The philosophy is in the hope. The trust is in the science, or the science is in the trust, and then we have the art, right? So the skills are the art. The skills are actually doing the thing. However, it's not a profession until it professes. And that's where the word comes from. So your philosophy, your science, and art have a way of expanding. And this is through a thing called a narrative. So a narrative then is an explanation of, and a leverage point of the skills, which is based on the trust, which is based on the hope. So the quadrant 4 part, which is the area that's concerned with expansion, sees that everything can be better. Everything can always improve. So it's willing to take things apart, put it together a different way, and voice it out. So this is the professing part. So, unfortunately, some chiros get the cart before the horse on this one. They try to force their chiropractic narrative on others before the person's ready to take it on board. So, because in this context, the hope may be there, maybe the trust has been eroded, but maybe the trust is there. The skills maybe have a paucity, have a lack, and therefore the narrative gets distorted, because the narrative seems to be hollow, because it's saying that, yeah, chiropractic can do this and this and this, but the experience is not the case. The skill base hasn't delivered that, and that's where it will seem to be false or misleading, that what is being said is not actually what's being delivered. So looking at this in its entirety, then we have a situation where we have an attract that draws people in, and the attract stays right through. It goes through into nurture, and the nurture then stays right through. So the people feel nurtured as they go and they get delivery, and as they're delivered to with the skills, then it gets taken up into being expanded upon, and that's where with a professional practice, that then feeds back over into the attract area, so that attracts more people in. So this is the way this works neurologically within our brain, but also within the practice brain. So that's the model, and it really does have an effect on your service and the way that people use the service, and therefore the income that comes from it. So the key part of all this, though, is to do this above concern for yourself. You see, it's about being the loyal servant, because you cannot outgive the universe. And the key element of chiropractors who knock it out of the park is that they're there to serve. They're there to be of assistance to people way beyond what's expected of them. And this is then the essence of abundance. It's going beyond what we think is possible. We're going and giving more. We're also open to receiving more, and that then fills our bucket. It fills our bucket with love and with satisfaction, but it also fills our bucket financially. So as long as you do this with selfless focus, then you will be an attractive character, and you will create an attractive practice that will result in attractive business. And with that comes practice income. So, have fun with this one. It is meant to be joyful. It's filled with gratitude, and no matter how much you have in the external world, it doesn't matter. It's about who you are on the inside and the state that you're in at any point in time. You could have the most massive debt. You could be absolutely destitute and still come from this point of joyfulness and gratitude for life. And when you're giving from this position, and you do the hope, and you do the trust, and you do the skills, then, and you speak the narrative, you speak your truth, then you'll find that your practice will be boosted as far as its income goes. But on top of that, though, there's very little effort. It's just easy. So if you'd like to know more about this, if you'd like to look at how it fits in with your practice, and you'd like to have a chat about it, then just book a call, and we can sit down for 15 minutes and just see where things are going, where they're at, where things are going, and where you want them to go, and then whether it would be useful for us to have a further discussion and maybe work together. So I'm Mark Postles. Thanks so much for spending this time with us, and I trust that this has been really useful. Make sure you get the notes, and we'll talk to you at some stage in the future. Cheers.